Hello everyone, my name is Alfredo Quevedo and I am currently researching in the field of computational medicinal chemistry at the National University of Córdoba. In this video, I will be presenting the project named TidyScreen, with which I participated in the OLS 9 training cohort as part of the Catalyst track. In order to provide some background respect to the project motivation, in a nutshell, it can be said that TidyScreen is essentially a Python package conceived to configure, execute, and document small molecules virtual screening campaigns, so it is useful in the context of developing new drugs to treat human pathologies. And at the moment of initiating OLS 9 training cohort by August 2024, TidyScreen was already running as an open source project. And the main goals and expectations throughout the training are to update the project in line with open source principles, refactor the code to facilitate user experience, and to document its usage. The initial snapshot of the project in what respect to the OLS 9 training roadmap can be set by August 2024 at the point of presenting TidyScreen in a scientific meeting dealing with biomolecular simulations. At that moment, the project was perceived as technically relevant. However, upon using user feedback, a significant degree of difficulty was experienced while being used. So these difficulties were mainly associated with two main suboptimal situations. The first one having to do with the lack of or very poor available documentation. And secondly, complicated code upgrading or extension possibilities due to the fact that the project was mostly designed using functional programming paradigms. In this context, I really feel that OLS training journey has not only impacted very positively in my scientific capabilities to develop open source tools, but also I want to remark that this happened very early in the roadmap of the training. Specifically, in the very first contact with my assigned tutor, Dr. Gemma Turom, who is currently directing an award-winning and scientifically awesome open source project called Ercilia. So in this way, I can say that this early mentor-mentee call constituted a real game changer for the experience related to my participation in the OLS 9 program. As the training program progressed with the sequence cohort calls and skill-up sessions, I was able to learn very valuable lessons which, considering my very little background formation in programming, were really useful to advance the project. Some of these lessons were mostly associated with gaining hands-on knowledge related to the impressive and ever-increasing power of GitHub for team collaboration, and also respect to the vast array of open source licensing possibilities at hand for the development of open source tools. So this resulted in the adoption of a general public licensing version 3 for TidyScreen as a project, and also a clear view on how to effectively document an open source project was gained during the training, with a solid distinction between the role of a README MD file and the user-oriented documentation itself. Also, I would like to particularly mention the discussion of code peer review actions, which I learned constitute a central point for any open source project, and as most of the feedback actions, sometimes it's not as easy to take or to digest in a first stage. To summarize the specific achievements on TidyScreen by the end of the training roadmap, I can mention the conclusion of the whole code refactoring of one specific module of TidyScreen, during which I learned the technical power of implementing an object-oriented programming approach for the package, which not also makes the execution of the code more simple, but also allows an easier upgrade, extension, and contributions to the project. Also, the generation of user-oriented documentation was initiated with a dedicated GitHub page now being available to users. And also, further extension of the project is envisioned with particular interest in including the interaction with TidyScreen and available artificial intelligence models implemented within the Ercilia project. So this last point constitutes a very motivating future work related to the continuity of TidyScreen project, encouraging also the continuation of academic interactions with the Ercilia team. As a conclusion, the whole training process, I can say that significant improvements have been possible on most on the down points of the project as presented for the initial time snapshot. As a final thought, I would like to mention that TidyScreen was initially imagined almost 1 year ago as a new project to attend specific working requirements at the medicinal chemistry laboratory in which I perform my research activities. These early efforts constituted mostly individual and isolated actions to attend specific research necessities at that moment and were envisioned in an attempt to leave a trail to my students and co-workers. Upon conclusion of these months of training with OLS, I am now convinced that while scientific projects and idea initiates as individual sparks, scrumming towards those objectives is always a necessity. And this picture represents what I now feel with respect to the Scrumming progress, a team effort at the heart of an open source initiative, led by a person who manages and throws the ball into the Scrum. So I would like to conclude this graduation presentation saying thanks to the people involved in the OLS training program and facilitators, and a special recognition to Gemma for the valuable time devoted to the mentoring and the inspiring ideas shared during our calls. So my sincere gratitude for managing the ball into the Scrum for all of you. Thank you, and best wishes for every participating project.